gonna have a great time doing it. So we're gonna wait for our gauge. I got it where I wanted at 35 psi. Now this may be a little high. Good morning and welcome to another episode of Defiant Jeep. Today we got a special treat for you. Well, a special treat for me anyways. Something I've been kind of excited to do for a little while now. I love performance. I love the way that I can make or generate a little bit more power out of engines. Being a hot rider myself, I've always been into that kind of stuff. So today I bought a new item. It is a throttle body spacer. Now, I didn't go for the expensive ones like Jet or Air Raid or any other brand. I went the more economical direction, and I got this red one from Rough Country. Now, don't think that it's going to be anything cheap like that. It still bears the same similar design. Let me see if I can show it to you. It's got the spiral windings inside the throttle spacer, or the throttle body spacer, just like all the other ones. And it's a simple install. You got these 4 bolts. You're going to apply a gasket, and it provided new bolts for the difference in the thickness of this. It's going to add between the throttle body and the intake manifold. Before I move forward with this, let's give you an idea how this works. A throttle body spacer is going to be bolted like this. This is going to be the intake manifold side. This flat side is going to be the throttle body side. Now air is going to come in through here straight, just regular air, and with all these spiral windings, as the air comes out of the spacer and into the intake manifold, it'll be creating a turbine type effect, and that's how it's going to come out. Let's put this into another perspective here. Your engine itself is it's just a big air pump, or in real terms, it is a reciprocating air pump, which means, let me put that down for a second, which means that if you're a 4-cylinder, your pistons are going to be going up and down, or if you're a 6-cylinder, you're going to have this motion right here, your pistons going up and down. And I know my motion was all wrong, haha. But in either case, that's what's happening here. So you're bringing in more air, you're going to allow for more fuel, it's going to deliver more performance. Now, there is another plus side to this. Depending on your driving habits, how heavy your foot is, this could also be something that will help you in fuel economy. Now, if you're the everyday driver going to work, staying on the road, keeping it under 2,000 RPMs, with a little bit more air, it's really going to help you. It should anyways. But we're going to go ahead and get started on this. I am going to go through all the motions to install this. I have not seen or anything in any forum that a check engine light's going to turn on, so I feel pretty confident about this. I am not 100% sure on what the horsepower delivery is going to be, but we're going to test it. So after this installed, we're going to get on the road. We're going to give it a couple throttles. We're going to get on the highway. We're going to drive around for maybe a minute. We're going to get off the next exit and turn around, of course, and see how we feel about this. But I'm very confident. I'm going to be happy with this. Not 100% sure. But, going the least expensive way, why not? It really only cost me $50 versus $250 or $300. So let's give it a try. Let's go ahead and I'm going to get my gloves. Then we're going to go open up the hood, and then we're going to start taking it apart. Alrighty, with the hood open, we're now get ready to get started. So, after reading the instructions, these are 2 things that we're going to need. We're going to need a T20 Torx bit, which I have this screwdriver type to take off the factory fasteners. And we're also going to need a flat screwdriver, which I left over there. I'm going to get back in 1 second, to loosen up the hose. And then we're also going to need a 10mm socket to fasten the new bolts that were provided. We're first going to start by taking this off and then disassembly. Give me 1 second, let me get my screwdriver. All right, we are ready to go. So let's go ahead and first we're going to lift this cover and then we're going to totally remove it. Now keep in mind, a lot of you, like me, our engine's going to be pretty filthy, so you want to be careful that when you're disassembling from this hose and the throttle body, that you don't want to get any dirt inside the engine. That's really, really harmful. So if you can clean it off as much as you can before reassembly, that would be ideal. But let's go ahead and get started. So my hose comes up to here. We're going to loosen this fella. Just enough to get the hose off. I think that's pretty loose right there. Let's slide that clamp. Looks good. It doesn't look like it's one working for me because I got this other hose in the way. There we go. Come on, little guy, we can do it. Come on. You got this. Maybe not. I'm already spreading dust everywhere. We should be a little mindful of this thing right here. It's in the way. Dang it, and I don't want to put dust in my engine. Let's get that silicone hose over it. Keep it protected a little bit. What size are you? You are a 10 millimeter. Awesome. Let's get this guy out of there. I want to make this as painless as possible. One, and you know what, just for the sake of giggles, let's take out the second one as well. Now what I'm removing right here, these are not is a factory thing. I'm using a K&N FIPK, so of course I remove the factory box because at that time, and this is a few years ago, I was still looking for more performance out of the 3.6 PentaStar, and you know this has done very well for me so far. Well, that's awesome. It stayed in place. This thing is fantastic. So what we'll do with that down, we're going to remove these two brackets so that we don't lose them because they help tie the hose together. Get this a little out of the way. That's for the reservoir. We should now be able to pull this up and away, and there it goes, up and away. Okay. Now we're going to take a look over here. On your throttle body spacer, you're looking for any other kind of connection, any kind of like an electrical plug of some sort. And there's one right down here at the bottom. Now we want to be careful with that. We're either going to try and move this out of the way carefully, or just unplug it and do the right thing. But you know what? Let's continue to do the right thing. Why don't we just completely disconnect this hose? It's going to give us a little bit more space to work with, and we're not going to be as frustrated later. Just for laughs and giggles, what's the size of that nut? Oh, it's not the 10, that's for sure. It is not the 10, but that's okay. We've loosened it enough where we can take it off. And okay, so now you got two things here. We have this hose here. How's that working in there? Let's just take this off so we don't lose it. Let's just take this off so we don't lose it. Looks like it's manually screwed on there. And please be extremely careful with this thing right here. Yeah, we're going to clean that. Let's get this guy off of there so I don't... Oh, God, please don't break. I know it's plastic and brittle. Please don't break. I'll be really upset. See if I'm smart about this. If I can get my screwdriver to help me wedge this off, that'd be awesome. Because the hose still looks like it's in good shape, but it's got good tension on it, good elasticity. My biggest concern is breaking the fitting. And luckily, don't get me wrong, I have another Jeep. I can go to the parts house and get another one, but do I really want to spend time doing that when I could just be, doing my own upgrades and whatever else I got to do? Come on, I see you coming. You got this, buddy. There it is. Okay, tell you what, we're gonna go ahead and make it a point to clean all these items before we put them back on. We want it all free of debris and dust and whatnot, because I've already touched it and I see some particles inside, and it doesn't take a lot. A small piece of dust can actually equal to a huge boulder. You don't want that in your system. So put that down and we'll tend to it in a moment. We're going to clean the inside over here too. Okay. So let's see what else we got going on here. So we got this bolt down here. Where's the fourth one? I want to be able to access it without an issue. Probably be best. Let's go ahead and remove this other piece of hose just to eliminate any obstruction. And this is just another piece of silicone hose that came with the K&N kit for the assembly or the installation of the FIPK. Very fine kit. I've had it for years. The K&N FIPK allows a lot of airflow. And the biggest selling point to me was that it added about 12 horsepower. And I can't say they're wrong, because for the years that I've had this, it's been a performance increase. I mean, I felt a big difference. Here we go. All right, that guy's out. Let's put him down. We'll tend to it later. Now, okay, now all 4 bolts are exposed. Now let's consider that the intake manifold right here is just plastic, all right? Throttle body's gonna come off of it, not a problem. We're gonna install the spacer, the gasket, the throttle body, and the new bolts with its own washers. My biggest concern is, in the instructions for installing this, it did not give how much foot-pounds to apply the bolts. But the bolts are pretty thin, so I'm thinking hand tight should do it. So let's see. Actually, I don't even think that's a 10 millimeter, because there's no Torx bit on there. No, it's smaller than a 10. I bet you that's an 8. Let's get an 8 millimeter. See how fast we can unscrew those things. So here at my handy toolbox, we're gonna grab an 8 millimeter. Let's find, this ridiculously long extension, which is a little overkill, but you know what? That's the first one in my grabbing position here. And a little ratchet. Let's just go with it this way. Yeah, when I said ridiculously big extension, I was right. It's too long for this right here. I'm gonna need to find a shorter one. Convenience for the top ones, but even more convenient for the lower bolts. So let me find a shorter extension. If I can find one anyway. And it's funny that you keep all your tools organized in an NCO manner, NCO being neat, clean, and organized, where there's always someone that wants to borrow. And you know what borrow means. Yeah, I'm going to make a mess of your life. That's what that really means. See if I got my little swivel. That'll probably help me also for angle. I know I got one here somewhere between this messy toolbox that I keep saying, yeah, I'm going to clean it out, but you know, what are the chances that's going to happen today? Probably not. But I did manage to find me a swivel, so we're good. All right. So let's put that swivel on there. Got my socket. All right. Now this is a perfect fit. Short extension, little swivel joint, and an 8mm socket. All you need to remove the throttle body and these 4 screws. So the instructions of the rough country said, yeah, go ahead and use a T20 Torx bit. But these bolts are not T20, these are regular 8mm hex bit heads. So we'll just keep on going in that direction. Ooh, that's one. Let's put that guy down. Let's see if they're loose enough where I can get them on by hand. That's 2. That's 3. Now before I take out the 4th one, let's take a look at the other bolt that came with the package. It's a factory bolt, provided bolt. It looks like it is the correct amount of length to make the difference for the spacer, since it looks to be about a 1/4 inch thick. So I think they were right on this. And looks like they were wrong on the 10mm socket as well. I didn't need that because this one's also an 8mm head. So I don't believe it'd be an R&D thing. It's more of a fastener supply kind of thing. The instructions said one thing, they probably ran out. They said, let's just throw these in there, and they work, and they do. You know, no harm, no foul, right? So let's keep on going. Let's go ahead. We're going to remove the last bolt. All right. Ooh, and that guy just fell. Now, throttle body is off. I'm going to let it dangle right there. Instructions didn't say anything about removing this rubber gasket right here, so we're going to leave that in place. That is probably why it didn't say to put a gasket in between there. Now, let's take a look at this for a second. Let me grab the spacer. This spacer is going to go right there in the intake manifold. It's going to go in like this. This is going to be the inside of the manifold. The throttle body is going to be on this side. There is a rubber O-ring gasket right there. The instructions did not say anything or even mention that gasket. So we're going to leave it in place for now. If I detect a leak later, I'll remove it and see if I can reseal it. But right now we're going to go forth with the motions of how I said to do. We're going to install this spacer in the manifold body like so, and you know, I'm going to line up the holes, give it a little twist. Let's make sure they're straight. I'll use this guy. There you go. Feels about right. And it does fit pretty snug. It's like it's machined to fit. Okay, so let me grab the gasket. Now, I know I'm away from the camera for a second. I'm just getting everything I need from the box. Now, it did come with a brand new gasket. Just be careful that it does have a flat side, so you have to pay attention when you reinstall this. The question is, it didn't tell me where the flat side goes because there was no gasket, just removing the throttle body. So if we inspect the throttle body, see if we can determine where the flat side goes. So let's take a look at it real quick. If I install this like this, is there going to be any obstruction? Looks like not. If I install it like this, is that going to make a difference? Too much space on this side here. If I go back here, I think this is it. Okay, so it's going to be flat side down. So as I install it, it's going to be flat side down, pointing towards the bottom of the engine. So in that case, I'm going to put this down for a second, and I'm going to try to be smart about this. I'm going to take 2 bolts and 2 provided washers. Okay, so I'll take 2 of the longer bolts. I am going to apply a washer on each one. Now, here's the fun part. I need to take this gasket, apply it on the throttle body as I'm looking at it. Okay, it looks good. The cut is good. Let's get this box out of the way so I don't drop it. Another one of those items that if I drop it, I am going to be so mad. I'll put that first bolt down. And I'm going to go through the top bolt hole, and the corresponding top bolt hole on the throttle body. Oh, and I moved the gasket. Well, shame on me, right? That's all right. Let's grab. There you go. Kind of lined up there. Let's grab the other bolt. It's already got the washer lined up for it. If I can get it to stay in place, that'd be awesome. Where is my... Now we're just going to give this a couple turns to make sure it's in there straight. I'm not stripping any plastic threads of any sort, you know. You know, forbid we want to do that. Okay, so it's set in there right now. Let's go ahead and grab the other two bolts. Put that ratchet down. Got my other two bolts. I am going to prepare the bolts with new washers. And these are regular metal washers. I thought they'd be like the cork type, but no, they're fine. They're just regular washers. Don't know why they were provided, because the factory bolts did not have washers. So it's just another question of, why? Don't do that. It feels like it wants to cross. Let's back it out a little bit. Oh, this guy's going to be a problem. And I'm wondering if the problem is that washer. Yeah, it's the washer that's a little jammed. So let's see if we can get this guy out of here, and we'll figure out another way to install that bolt. It's like I said, the intake manifold's plastic or some kind of polymer. You really don't want to take a chance of ruining it, you know. Back out, buddy, back out. There we go. All right, so we're gonna try another method here. Let me see what we got down here. What are the chances that I can hold the washer? So if it falls, let's see where it falls to. It's either gonna hit the chassis right there or hit the ground. So why don't we do this? Why don't we, well, there is no other way. Well, dang. Then that just beat all. If I can get this guy in there, that'd be fabulous. No, it's just not gonna fit with the, and it fell anyways. But you know what? It's not gonna fit with the washer regardless. The washer's just in the way, man. Why are you not catching? Let's go ahead and loosen these guys up a little bit just to give it some play. Oh, the third one's already loose. Doesn't need play. Why is that not grabbing thread? Just for laughs and giggles. Let me try one of the original bolts, see what the difference is. Did it go in at all? Nope. That is just the oddest thing. Because the bolt pattern itself should be like a perfect square. Why it's not going in is a strong question. Huh. Nope, still here. Well, this guy's gonna give us a challenge. We're gonna figure it out. I pulled back on the throttle body a little bit, like the whole body away from the manifold, to see if I'll probably play some action in there. I wonder if it did anything, or am I just wasting your time and mine? It feels like it wants to catch, but it's not. Huh. And don't get me wrong, I feel like super silly with this whole endeavor because this should be a straight get up in it kind of thing. Why it's not going in now? Just curious. So I'm gonna go about this another direction. Let me go ahead and take off the first 3 bolts. Completely remove them and start from that bolt. Let's see what kind of success I have with that. I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. Let's try it like completely loose like that. See, now it's on something. Let me see if that made a difference. No, it did not. Let's take her out. Let's just take her out. We're going to start this job all over. Okay, so that bolt's out. Put it right there. This bolt's out. Let's keep the washer on it. All right, this bolt is out. Let's keep the washer on it. I got 1 bolt left, and why will not line up? I'm not sure. Let's take this bolt again. Eso es porque, coño. put that down. Where's my washer? Where's the one that I dropped? Mr. Dingling Man. I remember dropping a washer. Where'd it go? Well, that's gonna suck. There you are. Oh, I found it. Let me get a magnet. Let me see if this big magnet can get that washer for me. Hallelujah. There it is. All right. So luckily, the throttle body spacer and the washer, and I'm sorry, the gasket more or less stayed in location where it needed to be. Okay, that one got started. Let's grab the other two. And this time we are using all of the brand new fasteners that were provided by Rough Country. So, of course, I feel stupid realizing the mistake I made. And I'm not going to make myself feel any more stupid. So I'm not going to tell you exactly what I did. Because either way, I'm going to feel like an ass. Okay, so I got that somewhat started with the ratchet, but like I said, the instructions doesn't say how tight to apply torque or tension to these bolts, and they are relatively thin. They're like a 5.5 millimeter thickness or something like that, so it shouldn't take very much. So I'm just gonna try and tighten it by hand. That's not gonna work. Shucks. I really don't want to use the ratchet, but I may have to. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna apply this in a cross tightening pattern like you would a wheel with 4 lug nuts. Just gonna give it a little tight. Little tight. That was scaring me. Okay, and last one. Good enough. Alrighty. Whew, good to go. And there is our Rough Country throttle body spacer installed. Now, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna clean the inside of the throttle body here. I'm gonna clean the intake tube, the silicone hoses, the clamps, and this entry point right here to the to where the air filter is. I'm gonna make sure all that's clean, dust and debris free before I reassemble this, so that we don't have any issues while testing or driving. So, that being said, first let me take off this dirty ass glove. I'm gonna go ahead and let me get that all cleaned up, and I'll be with you in a second as soon as it's back together. Alrighty, with the parts cleaned up and the engine put back together, everything minus the actual engine cover, we're ready to start it up. Now, aside of everything being dirty, I did clean off essential areas where dust may pass through, so those all got cleaned up pretty good. I did whatever I could without going into the kitchen and my wife giving me a stink eye, so we're going to try and avoid that one. And of course, visible, you can see that the red spacer is there, and rough country is pointed toward the top. I figured, you know what, I bought it. If it works out well, I'm going to represent the brand a little bit. So let me show them their moniker on there. But alrighty, let's go ahead and let's jump inside and get her started. Make sure that no check engine lights turn on. But I think we're going to be good. Alrighty, now from inside my my driver's compartment, let's go ahead and let me fix this a little bit because I am kind of weird about doing this left-handed. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn the engine on, and we're gonna look for check engine lights. I've done everything except to put on the engine cover. I know I mentioned that earlier. I'm just trying to remember all my steps here. So let's go ahead and turn it on. Let's take a picture of my dash. Okay, so right now the only thing that's appearing is my low PSI light, which I'll go ahead and, of course, adjust the air pressure before I get on the road. It's flashing 33, even 34, but I got oversized tires. I should be running at 30, 32. I just need a programmer to turn that light off or readjust it. But so far everything's looking good. It's idling fine. I think we are golden. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and put the engine cover back on there. Let's close the hood. And let's put some let's put some air in the tires so we can get on the road to go ahead and test out this little animal and see how well it works out. Alrighty, so here's my engine cover. It looks pretty much like any other one for a JK with the 3.6 PentaStar. We're just going to slide it on. Now, most of you, they just go ahead and pop it on by those two little ball mounts. That's not the only thing that's got to be done. If you're only doing that, then you're doing it wrong. If you notice in the back by the firewall, there's these two hook-like hoist points. They actually mount up to these two locations right here, so it can swivel up and down like a hood. So you got to make sure you get those on there first. Let's see if I can get this done without looking too foolish. So, you know, I'm pretty good at looking foolish, man. You know, I don't want to just shove it in there and call it a day. I want to mount it upright. Oh, let's see if I'm anywhere near tall enough to make it. Okay, that's this point here. That's this point here. And where is it, charging card? Oh, I see it. It is here. Push that down. I didn't get it. I didn't get it. No, I did not get it. Well, you know, I'm going to look a little foolish right now. Let's just get it lined up as best we can. And we'll get her done. Oh man, I popped it right out of the spot. Okay. Alrighty, so we're good to go. We're just gonna go and put air in our tires. Let's get on the road. We're gonna go for a test drive. Actually, foolish, I'm going to use my carburetor. I'm going to use a good compressor. So let me not waste a lot of your time on there. I am just going to, where's my thing? Oh, it's in my pocket. Alrighty, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and leave the hood open. I'm going to use my battery here to power my my air compressor. I'm going to go ahead and air up on my tires to the correct PSI where they're supposed to be, regardless if the low PSI light is on. So long as they're at 32 cold, I'm perfect. Alrighty, we are good to go. Let's go and get this thing started. Alright, so I put my tires at 32 PSI cold, and I know it's cold because my vehicle has not been driven all day. I went ahead, that was my first thing to do, is get this little project started there. Yeah, I know, you're going to adjust. So I got my tires at 32 PSI cold. I got all the engine stuff back together again. We're good to go. Ready for a test drive. Now, as I'm doing this, I'm going to make sure we get out of here safely. Just remember that when I was taking the air intake assembly apart, there was two connections that I had to pop loose. One was that hose that was giving me a hard time, and that's actually a good sign that it was giving me a hard time. That is the PVC hose. So you had to make sure you got to put that one back. And there was another one that had to be installed, and that's imperative, mandatory, gotta get her done. That is the shoot, what do they call it? Some kind of like a airflow sensor. it goes more towards the throttle body. That actually felt nice. It goes more towards the throttle body, and it senses the air passing through, and of course it's measured by heat. So there's in that sensor you got electricity or some kind of energy that goes through there, power, and it heats up these coils, kind of like what do you call those little wicks in a light bulb? That's what they look like, and they get hot. So then the sensor is measuring the heat on that. So the more air you got going through there, the more it's going to cool it down, and that's how that thing works. All right, so let's go ahead and got a nice response out of it. I don't know if it's because the engine is cold or whatnot, but let's go ahead and get on the highway. That's really the point of this right here. Tell you what, I'm at a light. Let me not waste your time. Let me get through this little bit of traffic. I should be on the highway in about 5 minutes. I'll be right with you. Alrighty, here we go. We're getting on the ramp right now. Let me go ahead and slow down for some of these fellas here and see how they treat me. And I'm sure this is going to be fine. It's Sunday, traffic's kind of light. And amazingly enough, it shows to be about 68 degrees in Vegas right now, but it's super hot. I'm already starting to sweat. You know, I got my AC kicking pretty good. I hope that the AC noise doesn't bother you, but I had to put this thing on full blast. It's really hot around here right now. You know, the fan that kicked me a little bit. And okay, so I am off the Cloverleaf on the highway. Let me give you some throttle, see how it responds. If I can get around these vehicles here. It feels pretty good. If I'm gauging it, I don't feel a lot of power gain, but I feel a little throttle response gain. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah, it definitely feels pretty good. I'm just going to give it another, okay, degrees just dumped about 10, so it's actually 76, 77 degrees now. It probably has something to do with my engine warming up, I don't know. But it makes more sense now why it's hot. Alrighty. Looks like the check engine is stable. There's no light on. Thank you, Jesus. Alrighty. Looks like we're good to go. I think this one was a success. Like I said, I didn't feel any, like, I don't know, any horsepower gain. But I did feel a little throttle response gain. I mean, the engine knows it's getting more air, so there's going to be a change in the response in the throttle, which is good. And that's just on the highway. So me being a city driver to get to work, it's just help me out on fuel also. But all right, I would think we're good to go. I think this test was a success to an extent. No, it's not a programmer. There's other things that we are going to do to the Jeep or Defiant as we move forward. But thanks for watching. I really appreciate you hanging out with Defiant Jeep, and thank you for being a subscriber. Coming soon, we have www.defiantjeep.com, and don't forget to don't forget to connect or join us on our social platforms. And of course, we are with the Desert Wranglers in Las Vegas, so don't forget to join us at the club. We'd love to see you on the trail. Have a great day.